Hello everyone, and welcome to Fictional Vortex. So we are back with an interesting series on what if Naruto become ultimate Spider-Demigod. But before we start, I just want to remind you to please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button if you enjoy my content. Let's start the story. A field trip leads to secrets revealed, part of divine royal heritage being revealed, and learning of a past evil deed, and a potential war between heaven and earth. As the field trip to the Metropolitan Museum was going on today, Peter Parker was more worried about than that the Fate's grand plan would lead to him revealing his first secret that he'd been keeping from S.H.I.E.L.D., and a second secret that only two other people. The first secret is that Peter was a hero before the spider bite. He is the current Red Power Ranger. He was chosen by a force of good to protect the world from an alien invasion. It was harder because he was a solo ranger with no team at all, but he had two mentors. The first mentor was Gosei, the being who chosen him to be the Red Ranger. After the radioactive spider bite, Gosei sent for one of the two former rangers that are current superheroes, T'Challa of Wakanda. T'Challa became the second Red Turbo Ranger, then Blue Space Ranger while he was in America to learn. In order to protect himself, and to hide his royal heritage, he made a fake identity as T.J. Johnson. T'Challa helped out a lot with training Peter in the fight styles that the Lost Galaxy, Wild Force, Dino Thunder, and Jungle Fury Rangers use for legendary mode to use the most of his energy fight the aliens that for some reason S.H.I.E.L.D. never detects. The second secret is that he is a demigod. Most demigods people and schools deal with their Greek demigods because of their ADHD and dyslexia. Actually, most special education teachers are either demigods, have relatives that are, their legacies, or they are unclaimed. Peter has a learning and emotional disability called Asperger's syndrome that caused him a lot of problems when he was younger. His case manager Timothy Chase, an unclaimed demigod with black hair and blue-green eyes. He has been Peter's case manager since preschool. Actually, it was a meeting of demigod of Peter's age that got him in Timothy Chase's caseload. Peter meet a girl named Persia Jackson, and they say an actual Cyclops. No, not a Nick Fury kind of Cyclops. The one huge eye in the middle of the forehead kind. It actually confused the older demigod by that fact the Cyclops didn't attack either of the two toddler demigods as they were easy prey, until he looked in Persia's sea-green eyes, which made the 30-year-old demigod realize that she was a daughter of a sea god, most likely Triton, or worst case she is the daughter of Poseidon. One day that year a brown-haired man in a wheelchair came and talked to. In the years after, when other demigods in his special education classes actually picked on Peter, because he doesn't go to their special camp Half-Blood, there was one girl who standed up to the older ones. Her name was Clarice LaRue, daughter of Ares. She became his on-off-again girlfriend. The only other staff member who knows about Peter as a demigod is Stan the janitor. This is Norse rune stone. We once though the legends of Asgard were myths. Names like Odin, Loki, and of course the mighty Thor, said Phil Coulson, undercover S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. It's just a rock, said Sam Alexander aka Nova. I studied ancient texts in K'un-Lun. It says warrior be afraid for the coming winter, said Danny Rand aka Iron Fist, which caused a blizzard to appear in the museum after the snow died down to reveal a blue giant with a large club made out of ice. Phil, we got to get the kids out of here, said who was there as another adult on the trip. Everyone stick together, buddy pairs. You're on, said Agent Coulson. The giant began to focus on Peter, swinging his club at him. Why is the giant focusing on me? Asked Peter as he put his mask on. It may be that you are a Norse half-blood, said Mr. Chase as he returned into the room carrying a bronze shield and wielding a bronze sword. As the club began to swing down on Spider-Man, ran forward with his shield raised up blocking the club, and he swing his sword hitting the giant in the stomach. But the sword is very little damage. What in the name of Hades is going on? I know I hit it with celestial bronze, but all it did was paper cut worth of damage, thought as the giant raised its club to hit him again. A large bright flash of light filled the room. What now? Asked Nova as the light died down to reveal a weird human-sized mixture of goat, a tiger, lion, and a snake with a group of sliver pillar-headed humanoids. Borg attack, and let's cause havoc on the humans, said the chimera-like monsters. What in the world are these things? Asked White Tiger. There are minions. I will take care of the leader, said Peter as his mask was cut into shreds by an attack. Right then Thor busted through the roof to fight the giant. which caused Mr. Chase to notice some facial features that were similar between Thor and Peter. Peter pulled out a device that was shape of Tiki-like face. "It's morphing time," said Peter as he changed to Mega Force Red Ranger. "Whoa, Spidey's a Power Ranger," said Nova as Spider-Man. Peter changed to Legendary mode. "What is a Power Ranger?" asked Mr. Chase as he hit one of the X-Borgs with his sword, causing some damage to it. Power Rangers are planetary protectors on many different worlds, and there are also Space Rangers. Actually, Earth is the only planet to have multiple teams. There was also confrontations between the Power Rangers and the Nova Corps over territory and responsibility, explained Nova. "Legendary mode Great Red Shogun Ranger," said Peter as he put a large key-like object into a cell phone-like device, and turned into red and yellow Shogun-looking character with the kanji of fire where his eyes are. "Oh no," said the monster. "Shogun Spear Fire Slash," said Peter as he slashed the suddenly flaming spear at the monster. The monster was destroyed same moment that the Frost Giant was defeated. "So how long were you going to keep that a secret, Peter?" asked as Peter demorphed. "I had hoped my deathbed. Now Director Fury will find out now," said Peter as Thor walked over to Group. "Fortune smile on you young heroes. I hope your divine parents are proud of you, young Spider and older Demigod. Now go fetch Son of Cool, and let him know the crisis is averted," said Thor. "Yeah, right. If my father is proud of me, then why has he never claimed me?" muttered. "What do you mean claimed?" asked White Tiger, which caused both and Peter to look down in sadness. "Being claimed is when a god or goddess basically that the announced to the world that the demigod in question is their child. Some demigods never get claimed for some reason or another. It actually kind of hurts their feelings to see another demigod being claimed," explained Peter. "I was actually jealous to see that my niece Annabeth was claimed by her mother Athena, where I have never been claimed. After I meet Peter the First, made it my goal in life to have him be claimed by his parent. I actually spent years trying to figure out what pantheon he is descended from. After the Greek and Roman characteristic didn't show up, I started to look in South American pantheons, the Maya, Inca, and Aztec. Then I looked in North American mythology. After that I looked in African mythology. Then the Middle East. I was just looking at this year at Asian mythology. I was actually planning to see if he was the son of the Japanese storm god Susanoo by leading Peter to a hydra, and see if his divine power were going to activate. Now because of the frost giants focusing on Peter, I know what pantheon Peter's parent is from the Norse," said Mr. Chase as Peter ran off to stop Thor from touching a stone on the giant's chest. "Don't touch that, Thor," shouted Peter, which caused Thor to glare at him. "I mean, don't touch that, Thor, sir. I have bad feeling about it, sir." "The matter is well in hand, youngling," said Thor as he touched the stone. Then there was a blinding light. After the light died down to reveal a toad wearing Thor's outfit and carrying Mjolnir. "Okay, what in the name of Tartarus happened to Thor?" said Mr. Chase as he came in with the group of young superheroes. "There is only one in all of the 9 worlds who could do such bewitchment," said Throg. "The Wizard of Oz," said Peter, which caused White Tiger to slap him upside his head. "No, my evil half-brother Loki. For centuries Loki has seek to humiliate me, upsurb our father, to take over Midgard, and the rest of the 9 worlds," explained Throg. "I must get back to Asgard at once." "Wait, Thor, we can help to you," said Peter, showing eagerness for some reason. "Know where I am going is a place for no mortal," said Throg. "Isn't Earth one of these 9 worlds?" asked White Tiger. "There is the fact that you are a frog," said Peter. Thor, this would be Peter's first needs to take it to show off his powers and skills to his divine parent, said. "Ribbit, you are right," said Throg as he began to open a portal. "So who do you think Spidey's divine parent is?" asked Luke Cage. "That is the problem, his divine scent is confusing. It smells like a thunderstorm mixed with the smell of a forge and a freshly covered grave. That is one of the reasons that I was looking away from the Greek and Roman pantheons," said. "Why is that?" asked Iron Fist. "There was an oath made between Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades not to sire any more demigods after a prophecy was made at the end of World War II. At first I thought it was either Zeus or Poseidon who sired Peter. More on the thinking of sea god after the Cyclops situation when he was in preschool," explained. Are there many demigods in history? Asked White Tiger curiously. Yes, there are many Greek demigods in history. Let's see, there is George Washington, son of Athena, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, son of Zeus, Winston Churchill, son of Poseidon, Harriet Tubman, daughter of Hermes, Joseph Stalin, son of Hades, and Igor Rasputin, son of Hades, to name a few. There are also legacies, those who descend from a god or goddess. There is Icarus, son of Daedalus, as a legacy of Athena. Captain Steve Rogers, aka Captain America, is a legacy of Athena and a son of an unknown Olympian, and the Might Achilles, who is a different kind of half-blood, is a legacy of Zeus through his father. Explained, causing Luke Cage, White Tiger, Iron Fist, and Nova to look shocked. Be prepared for wonders beyond your imaging. Behold the realm of Asgard, said Throg as they lead the group through the portal. Peter, if you have a spare mask, put it on now, suggest as they appeared in a frozen Asgard. Asgard covered in ice. Loki has taken over, said Throg. Keep on your toes, said Peter. Loki, come out, you villain, shouted Throg. No, Thor, don't do that, said Peter, but it was too late. Throg was frozen in a block of ice. Team, get ready. When he turned around, they were frozen in a block of ice. Then a frost giant froze Peter. Later in the throne room of Odin. Brother, you made this so easy. You always want to prove yourself against frost giants. That is the reason that I made an alliance with them. While our father sleeps, the Odin sleep, unaware that death is coming to him. Soon what I have bewaited all these long centuries will be at last at hand. Thor humiliated, Loki triumphed. All hail Loki, said Loki to Throg in magic bubble. Jokey, we may have something to say about the whole triumphed part, said Peter, which causes Mr. Chase to slap his own forehead. He got close to Iron Fist and whispered, how are we doing on the way of Iron Fist? Soon I almost found the weak point, said Iron Fist. So brother, keeping pets of your own now, said Loki at the imprisoned heroes. He did not just call us pets, said White Tiger. This coming from the girl dressed like a cat, said Nova, which caused Peter to hit him upside the head. Found it, said Iron Fist as he and Luke punched the ice at the same time. Nova, get the frog, said Peter as the rest of the group was fighting the giants. One of the giants' club hit in the upper arm, breaking the bones. Thor, we need to do a strategic retreat, said Peter. Have sooth, this is embarrassing, said Throg as he whirled Mjolnir around, causing the group of heroes to disappear in a flash of light. The group of heroes landed in a snowy forest. Luckily fell on his unbroken arm. Mr. Chase is hurt. What do we do? Asked White Tiger. There is a ziplock with gold squares, break of a piece, and put it in my mouth. There is a flask, pour a little bit of liquid in my mouth, said Mr. Chase. What are we putting in your body? Asked Luke Cage as Peter broke off a small piece of the gold square. A very powerful medicines for a demigod. The gold squares are ambrosia, the food of the Greek gods. The liquid is nectar, the drink of the gods. If consumed by mortals, even a small amount, it will incinerate them. If a demigod takes too much, it will incinerate them as well, said as he swallowed the piece of ambrosia and the ounce of nectar. That was disgraceful. We had them, said Throg, angry. We were down an experienced fighter, and if we stayed any longer we would be obliterated. The one thing I hate more than retreating is being obliterated. This is time to think of a new plan, people, assist weakness, and organized strength, said Peter, which caused Throg to calm down. You are right. I rushed in arrogantly. Loki took that, and used it to his advantage, said Throg. It is not your fault. We are new to this Asgard business, said Peter. You are mortals. I am not, said Throg sagely. The best way to break an illusion is to realize truth, said Iron Fist. Have you talked to a brown hair white body centaur recently? Asked. Why would you ask that? Asked White Tiger. Because that is something Chiron would say, said. Isn't he that guy who ferries dead people? Asked Nova. No, that is Charon. Chiron is an immortal trainer of heroes, explained. We need to remove that enchantment that is on you, Thor, said Peter. I now Ava kiss the frog, said Nova, which caused to slap himself in the head with his non-healing arm. What? No, you kiss him, said Ava, although could have swore he saw Aphrodite putting a picture of Peter in where her heart is. No, that is not how it works. I saw the movies, said Nova. I know someone who Loki may have left alone in his conquest. He may be able to help us tip the scales back into our favor," said Throg, leading the group to a large cave tunnel. They traveled down the tunnel. Mr. Chase was answering questions from Ava, Danny, and Luke. They continued to travel, then they heard a sound of a hammer hitting an anvil. "We are here. The Forge of Dwarves Master Forger Eitri," said Throg. "Dwarf, Lollipop Guild or Classic Dopey?" asked Nova. "Classic Dopey," said Peter, greeting Master Dwarf. "I, Thor the Thunderer, come seeking your," said Throg, until he was interrupted by Eitri, who was an older dwarf, as signified by his white hair, raising his hand. "I know why you come here, Thor Odinson. You always come here when you need something. Fix this, mend this, and pull that. Have you ever come to thank me? No, you only come when you need something. I forged your hammer, the greatest weapon in the 9 worlds. No, you never come just to talk to a lowly dwarf," said Eitri grumpily. "Scratch Dopey, he's grumpy. This is where you turn the arrogant prince thing," said Peter. "Master Dwarf, I am sorry that I never gave you the gratitude that you rightfully deserve," said Throg as he took off his helmet. "If a prince can bow to a lowly dwarf, there may be hope in Asgard. Hope in you all. Especially you young half-blood. Now before I can help you, I need you to something for me, my froggy prince," said Eitri. "What is that?" asked Throg, confused. "Claim your son," said Eitri, which caused the group of heroes from Earth to cry, "What? I don't have a son," said Throg, confused. "Yes you do. About 35 Midgard years ago you were punished by your father Odin to teach you some humility by reincarnating you into a mortal without your powers. When your body was 20 Midgard years old, your fiancée was pregnant with your son before you were deployed, a Midgardian warrior called a Marine. After you were killed on the mission, and returned to Asgard, your father Odin blocked your memories so that you would not reveal Asgard to the mortals yet. Because you never claimed him, his other divine ancestors couldn't claim him. After his divine several great-grandfather tried, and failed to claim him several times, he went to his mother, who is the queen of that pantheon, to have her try, and claim him to see if that would work. But you can guess it failed," explained Eitri. "I will do it now," said Throg as he lifted Mjolnir, causing the hammer to glow white. In the cave the wind began to swirl around Peter. His outfit began to change. On his arms small metal plates began to form like chainmail. His chest 8 sliver discs appeared. The discs were connected to a silver spider. He also had a replica of Thor's helmet on his head. There was a flash of multicolor lights above his head. A Nordic symbolic hammer appeared in electric blue, a smaller red flaming hammer, and a small peacock in royal blue. It had been determined. Thor Odinson, crown prince of Asgard, the thunder, protector of the 9 worlds. Hephaestus, god of the forge, fire, and volcanoes. Lord of blacksmiths and craftsmen, blacksmith of the gods. Hera, queen of Olympus, goddess of home, marriage, and families, patron of women. Hail Peter, son of Thor Odinson, legacy of Hephaestus and Hera. Announced Mr. Chase. "You, my young spider, are from a truly noble heritage. Of 2 pantheons you were claimed, of the royal and ruling family. I am going to forge some weapon. Do you want to help?" asked Eitri, to which Peter nodded. 1 hour later Peter finished his first creation, an axe-hammer hybrid. The axe part was made out of celestial bronze, whereas the hammer was made out of uru. It was forged in the heart of dying sun. Another hour later Peter created a suit of enchanted armor that he saw blueprints that he painted like his outfit. He attached web shooters to each arm. "So what do you call it?" asked Ava. "I was thinking either the Spider Destroyer or the Spider Talos," said Peter, proud of his work. Later in Odin's throne room, 2 frost giants were currently battering the door to Odin's chamber with a battering ram made out of ice. "Do you hear that, father? It is the sound of your doom. All hail Loki," said Loki. "Ribbit," said Throg as he hopped into the room. "So we are serving frog's legs at my coronation after all," said Loki as Throg hit Mjolnir to the ground, causing a large flash of light. Out of the flash of light, a axe hammer and a beam of fire shoot out, hitting the 2 giants battering the door, destroying one and knocking the other out cold. "Sorry, the gift shop was out of Odin bobbleheads," said Peter as the axe hammer flew back into his hand. "Okay team, let's do this. Nova, Throg in the middle, Iron Fist, Powerman, and to the left. White Tiger, you're with me," said Peter as the giants rushed at them. The magical automaton attacked, and destroyed another giant. I say the ribbit, said Throg as he threw Mjolnir, hitting another giant. The heroes with their new weapons were attacked, the giants working as a team should. Danny with short sword so that he does not have to wait for the perfect moment, but to create his own. Nova with a halberd so that he can learn to balance. Luke with a battle axe so that he can use his powers on the offense. White Tiger with a bow that she has to block outside distractions. 4. His sword was dipped half the way in liquid Uru metal so that it can affect the frost giants, and any other evil forces of the rest of the 9 worlds. Throg confronted Loki. Loki used the magic of the Norn stone to knock out the Asgardian turned frog. He then used the magic of the stone to destroy the door to Odin's bedchamber. Peter Webb swinged over, and using his webs to make a X to block the now empty door frame. Why did you go and do that? This is why we can't have nice things, said Peter as he landed. Now it is time to use my ultimate weapon, thought Peter. Flashback to the Dwarven Forges. To defeat Loki you must use your greatest power, said Eitri. Lightning, said Peter. Know your words. You use your words to shield you from an unkind world. It could be the media to your fellow demigods. It was also your words that trapped the heart of the daughter of the god of war, said Eitri. I didn't know Tyr had a daughter, said Throg. No, Peter is currently on again off again relationship with Clarice LaRue, daughter of Ares, Greek god of war, explained Mr. Chase. Flashback end. Jokey, you think you're all that, said Peter. What are you pattering on about? Stated Loki. People will be saying that you truly didn't take over. You totally frozen people when they weren't looking. The only way you would get respected was to defeat Thor, who is a frog. Good going, Frog Slayer, said Peter. Loki turned the knocked out Throg back into Thor and said, first you, then Odin, and finally the universe. Thor woke up and grabbed Loki by the collar. What, the trickster tricked by a mere mortal? Shouted Loki. He is no mere mortal. He is the man of spiders, said Thor, who decided not to tell Loki that Peter is his son, for it would paint an even larger target on him. Spider-Man, you better watch out for the rest of your pathetic life, said Loki as he vanished in a pillar of green smoke. Don't go away, mad Loki. Just go, said Peter. That was when the frost giants were running for their lives. Ah, your grandfather is still asleep, Peter, said Thor. Later in S classroom at Midtown High School. The classroom was a medium-sized classroom next to the elevator on the 2nd floor. Inside the classroom it was decorated in a mostly Greek mythology theme. Timothy Chase was on the phone talking to someone when Phil Coulson walked into the room. Yes, that would work. Thank you for allowing me to make an appointment. Goodbye, said Timothy Chase as he finished up the phone call. Who were you talking to? Asked Coulson. The Wakanda Embassy. I have to talk to a member of their staff relating to one of my students' training, said Tim as he motioned Coulson to sit down. What happened after the frost giant attack? Because my superior needs to know, said Coulson. Peter was finally claimed by some of his family, said Timothy as he picked up his teacup that had some nectar mixed with green tea, and took a sip. What do you mean claimed? Asked Coulson. You see, Phil, that all of the special education teachers know a secret that not even S.H.I.E.L.D. knows. There are demigods on Earth. Most of the time they are from the Greek pantheon. Not one of them is a child of the Big Three, the sons of the Titan Lord. Peter is the first since the reintroduction of Asgard to Earth, said Timothy as he took a sip of his nectar-laced tea. The first what? Asked Coulson. Asgardian demigod. A son of Thor, to be precise. It will be interesting the next couple of years to see how it plays out, said Timothy. What do you mean? Asked Coulson. Asgard, for all I know, does not have an intervention law. For all I know, Thor could assist on every one of Peter's quests that he takes. What did you came to see me for? Said Timothy. The second thing is that S.H.I.E.L.D. discovered that Peter was kidnapped as a child. May Parker was arrested, an accomplice to the crime, even if she didn't know. She is still an accomplice because she was getting paid by Oscorp, said Coulson. Why do you think Oscorp would kidnap a child? Asked Timothy. For genetic experiments is the best guess we have at this moment. So what is Peter's other secret? Said Coulson. Have you ever heard of the Power Rangers? Asked Timothy. Yes, but why is that important? Asked Coulson. Peter is the current Red Ranger. The sad thing is that he is the only member of his team. I am going to talk to his ranger mentor about some recruits to fill up the team, said Timothy. Who are you thinking? Asked Coulson. My niece Annabeth Chase, daughter of Athena, Peter's girlfriend Clarice LaRue, daughter of Ares, Persia Jackson, an unclaimed demigod, and Ava Ayala to fill out the team. So where is Peter going to stay while S.H.I.E.L.D. searches to find Peter's birth mother? Said Timothy. There are rooms on the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier, said Coulson. I can take him in. I am on the foster care list, because it makes it easier for demigods traveling to Camp Halfblood to have a rest stop for at least a night, said Timothy as there was a rumble of thunder. It seems odd that only time that we see lightning is when Thor is in town, said Coulson. That is because Zeus's master bolt is stolen. The oceans are much more violent, because Zeus is blaming Poseidon for stealing it, and most likely having his Cyclops children making replicas to arm an army, explained Timothy seriously. How do you know that? Asked Coulson. I heard it from a centaur whom heard it from a nymph who heard it from her cousin who is an aura who overheard it on Olympus, said Timothy. Who is this centaur? Asked Coulson. Actually is one of the two people who I have to meet tomorrow. Chiron, the immortal trainer of heroes. Demigod dreams are important, almost prophecy-like visions that demigods get. All taught they are harder to figure out than a prophecy from oracles, fates, or in Peter's case the Norns. They will use many abstract images or past memories to tell why they were sent. For example, just recently I have been dreams relating to battle that Asgard's armies had with a race of elven-like creatures. Then it changed to a scene with Captain America fighting with a man with a red skull-like head, then it changes to the dismemberment of the primordial Uranos by 5 of his sons, then to a scene with a person with a black kimono with a green cube-like object with a sphere is it, then to a planet with a orb, and then finally to a purple-skinned, very muscular figure wearing a golden gauntlet with 6 different color gems. He used the gauntlet to wipe out an entire galaxy with a wave of his hand. Is there anyone of you had recent demigod dreams? Asked Mr. Chase to his class. Why are we here again? Whispered Sam to Ava, because we were exposed to the world of demigods, and we need to know of any threats to Peter. Whispered Ava as Peter raised his hand. Yes, Peter, said Mr. Chase, I had a demigod dream last night. I saw in my dream a massive army of monsters, demigods, weird white-skinned green-haired people, and people with bone-like mask fragments fighting an army of cyclopses, demigods, Asgardians, people wearing black kimonos with swords, ninja, and Power Rangers. 2 of the Megazords were holding a half-man half-serpent while a flaming giant wearing gold armor, and wielding a golden sword attacked the half-man creature. I also saw Luke kissing a girl with almost Middle Eastern skin tone and black hair. She was wearing sliver clothes, said Peter. Peter, what you just described could be considered the next Titanomachy. Also I am going to pray for Luke's soul, and potentially short life, said Mr. Chase. Why is that? Asked a visually shaking Luke. The girl that Peter described who was kissing you is Zoe Nightshade, the current second in command of the Hunters of Artemis, said Mr. Chase. Who are Hunters of Artemis? Asked Ava. They are handmaidens of the goddess Artemis. They are almost immortal, and are skilled hunters. They swear an oath to the goddess never to fall in love with a man. If they do, they lose their immortality. They can also die in battle. The Hunters of Artemis and the Amazons are the 2 groups that I tell all male demigods to avoid, like the Black Death, said Mr. Chase as the bell rings signaling the last day of school is over. As Peter was leaving the classroom, Peter, a moment, said Mr. Chase. Yes, said Peter, Stan is going to take you to Camp Halfblood after your S.H.I.E.L.D. training session. The reason for Stan taking you is because I am going to see my brother Eric Chase in Boston to help me figure out my demigod dreams. You see, my brother is a professor who specializes in Norse mythology. He may know who the elven creatures are. I know that it was the force of Asgard who fought them, because your great-grandfather bore lead them. T'Challa gave me the morphers that I want you to hand to some demigods that Chiron and myself selected to help you out on that front, said. So who do you want me to hand these morphers to? Asked Peter. The Yellow Ranger will be my niece Annabeth. The blue goes to Persia Jackson, the girl that you saw the Cyclops when you were a little kid, and the black morpher goes to your girlfriend Clarice, said Mr. Chase as he handed the morphers to Peter. After a tough S.H.I.E.L.D. training session, Peter was in a red Mustang being driven to Camp Halfblood by S.H.I.E.L.D. agent and legacy of Apollo, Stan. when he noticed a bunch of cows about to hit the car in front of them. "Is that a flying cow?" asked Peter. "You may want to get your hammer out, my boy. You may have to fight the mighty bull of minnows," said Stan as he pulled the car over by a sign that said fresh strawberries. Peter pulled out his axe hammer out of his backpack and ran out to help out the 3 people in the other car as they were being chased by the Minotaur. "Hey, beef for brains over here," shouted Peter as the Minotaur was about to charge at the woman, her daughter, and the Star. The Minotaur roared and began to charge at Peter, who dodged it with his spider-like agility. "Oh!" shouted Peter after the Minotaur missed him. The Minotaur ran at the group of 3, causing Peter to throw his hammer Stormbreaker at the horrific monster. The Minotaur grabbed the woman as the Asgardian-made weapon hit him on the head. The force of the impact broke of both of the Minotaur's horns. One of the horns landed in the girl's hand. "We need to get these 2 to the hospital," said a white body centaur who came out of the barrier with a blonde hair girl with gray eyes. "Yes, Chiron." "Is she the one?" said the girl. "Not now, Annabeth. So you are the young man that my friend and former student Timothy Chase has been mentoring," said Chiron as Annabeth dragged the girl and Star back into the camp. "Yes, I am. My name is Peter," said Peter as Chiron led him into the camp. As soon as Peter crossed the border, the symbols of Thor, Hephaestus, and Hera reappeared over his head. "Well, that can both help you and cause some problems of where to put you tonight to sleep," said Chiron. "Why is that?" asked Peter as Stan dropped of Peter's stuff. "Well, for one, you will not be staying in the Hermes cabin, which is the fullest cabin we have, but you have to have a choice to either stay in cabin 2 or 9, explained Chiron as he led Peter to the cabins. "Let me guess, cabin 2 is Hera, and cabin 9 is Hephaestus," said Peter, which surprised Chiron on how fast Peter figured it out. "Yes, you are right," said Chiron. "Well, I don't want to wake anyone up, so I will stay in cabin 2, said Peter as he noticed that cabin 9 is pretty full with people. Most of them were snoring like lumberjacks sawing through a forest. "That is actually very considerate of you, Peter," said Chiron. "Did you know that Annabeth was blessed by some sort of magical spider?" asked Peter. "No, how would you know such a thing?" asked Chiron, which caused Peter to explain the spider bite that gave him spider powers. After Peter bid Chiron a good night and went to bed, Chiron ran up to the big house and contacted the only person who may know if what Peter said is true. "Hello, Chiron, how is Peter settling in?" said Timothy Chase. "Good, but that is not why I am contacting you," said Chiron. "What is the reason for the ISIS message?" asked Timothy. "Has Annabeth got in contact with a magical spider?" asked Chiron. "Yes, it was actually one of the reasons why Eric and myself haven't talked to our brother Frederick. You see, when I went to visit Annabeth and her father when she was about 6, it was a couple of weeks after she ran away heading to your camp. Frederick's wife was complaining that Annabeth's nightmares, as she was calling them, was upsetting their youngest children. After I explained the curse of Arachne, she started to regret her actions a bit. But she started to feel really guilty when I went into Annabeth's rooms, and I felt magic. Not the kind the children of Hecate, but of another race. The Fairfolk, the children of Oberon as they are called. One of them visited Annabeth in her sleep, casting a blessing spell of some kind. They were lucky that Fairfolk in question finished the spell, despised interruptions. I then had to tell them the story about the Elric brothers, the 2 sons of Hecate, that they tried to make a spell that would simulated the curse of Achilles. That the spell was interrupted, crippling the older brother and turning the younger brother into the Headless Horseman, the very creature that killed Ichabod Crane, son of Hades, said Timothy. "Do you know who blessed Annabeth?" asked Chiron. "I actually, while studying, trying to figure out who Peter's father is, I came across a lot of similarities in many different folktales. I now know who blessed Annabeth. It was Anansi the spider, one of the tricksters of Avalon. The tricksters are a group of fairfolk who go around on Earth causing mischief of one sort or another. Their members included Puck, Raven from Native American myths, Coyote from southwestern Native American myths, and the previously mentioned. They are known for their cunning," explained Timothy. "So where are you? I thought you were going to drop of Peter," asked Chiron. "I am at my brother Eric's trying to figure out my demigod dream. One of the questions is how on earth an artifact from a clearly Norse mythology race has to do with the Titan Lord's scythe," explained Timothy, which caused Chiron to pale as Timothy said his goodbye to Chiron. The next day at the dining pavilion. This is Peter. He is a unique demigod. He is also a legacy of Hephaestus, and claimed by Hera as well. Peter's father is from the Norse pantheon. His father is Thor Odinson. Said Mr. D, which caused the campers to whispering to each other. This is Petra Johnson, a unclaimed camper. Tonight is your capture the flag game. Cabin 5 holds the laurel. It's Persia Jackson, sir. Said Chiron. Sir, I need to meet Persia, Annabeth Chase, and Clarice at the sword training ground. Said Peter, to which Chiron nodded that he knew what is going on. Finally got claimed, Pete. Said Clarice as she hugged him. Yeah, Clarice, I did. Said Peter as he kissed her on the cheek. Why did you need to meet with us? Asked Annabeth. Your uncle and my mentors have decided to invite you in to a group of special warriors called the Power Rangers. Clarice has been chosen to be the Black Ranger, Annabeth has been chosen to be the Yellow Ranger, and Persia is chosen to be the Blue Ranger. Said Peter as he pulled out the morphers, which looks like Gosei, one of the demigod's new mentor. Peter taught them an hour how to morph, using ranger weapons, and to go legendary mode, which they used SPD, and Time Force for the purpose of training. Later at the woods in the camp, Peter decided to work with Clarice's team to play capture the flag. The Hephaestus campers made Peter a celestial bronze spear and shield. The spear and shield are going to take some time to get used to, thought Peter as he put on his helmet that got from his claiming on, and attached the strap of Stormbreaker to his belt. Peter, I want you to go after the flag by yourself. Be careful, said Clarice as she was the head of the team. Chiron started the game, and Peter was running like crazy heading to the flag of the opposing team. He just got to the flag when he encountered Luke, the Hermes cabin counselor, who had his sword out, and swung it at Peter. The sword split Peter's spear in two. Okay, it's hammer time, said Peter as he got Stormbreaker out, and began to twirl it around by the leather strap. The faster the Asgardian weapon moved, the wind began to increase speed. What is up with the wind? Said one of the Ares watching the battle as Mr. D walked in to watch the game. Peter's father Thor could easily rival my father and uncle's powers over storms. You see, Thor is the Asgardian god of storms. Thor is a skilled warrior for the fact that he is named the protector of the 9 worlds. That is why he spends most of his time on Earth recently, said Mr. D as Peter knocked Luke out cold with a hit of Stormbreaker to the head. Peter grabbed the flag and started to run to the river where he saw Clarice fighting Persia. When he crossed the river, his spider sense went of which caused him to stop. He heard growling like a pack of very fearsome guard dogs. He tossed the flag over to one of the children of Ares as he got his weapon ready for whatever it is. Get my bow, shouted Chiron, which caused Peter to run to the river to see a pair of very large black dogs with fiery red eyes jumping about to attack Persia and Clarice. Peter threw Stormbreaker which at one of the dogs. As he holded up his hand calling his weapon to him, black fire shoot out of his hand, incinerating the last dog. As the campers were trying to figure out how the hellhounds appeared in camp, there was 2 flash of different color lights. Above Persia's head was sea green trident, and above Peter's head was a helmet and a bipronged spear in dark purple. It has been determined. Poseidon the Earthshaker, the Lord of the Sea, the Lord of Horses, the God of Sea, Storms, Horses, and Earthquakes. Hail Persia Jackson, daughter of Poseidon. Hades the Unseen One, the Rich One, the Lord of the Underworld, the Lord of the Dead, the God of Death and Wealth. Hail Peter, legacy of Hades, shouted Chiron as he paled as there was a claiming by 2 of the big 3. Meanwhile at the Avengers Tower. So Thor, why is your hammer glowing? Asked Natasha Romanoff, aka the Black Widow, a S.H.I.E.L.D. operative and Avenger. My son is being claimed by his ancestor, said Thor like he talking about the weather. You have a kid? Shouted Hawkeye. Yes, I do have a son. He is also a hero as well. It looks like Steve is being claimed by his divine parent, said Thor as he noticed the dark purple symbol above Steve's head. What does that symbol mean? Asked the Hulk. It has been determined Hades, Lord of the Underworld, the Unseen One, the Rich One, the Lord of the Dead, the God of Death and Wealth. Hail Steve Rogers, son of Hades, said Thor. Peter got up the next morning to a knock on the door. He opened the door to reveal his childhood friend Mary Jane Watson, who is also a demigod. Hey Pete. Chiron and my dad need to see you at the big house, said Mary Jane as she left to head to her training class in plant care. Peter got his weapons ready in case of anything. He headed up to the cabin, seeing that Persia was coming as well from her father's cabin. When they got to the big house, they saw Chiron, Mr. D, playing a card game with the invisible third person. "So our new celebrities have arrived. I don't care that your father is old Barnaclebeard. If it wasn't for my oath to protect you, I would have forced you to spontaneous combust," said Mr. D grumpily as he was losing. "But sir, that would be a type of harm, and besides you would have to deal with Asgard as well as your daughter would hate you for killing one of her best friends," said Chiron. "I have to go to a meeting. I don't want to see the two of you when I return," said Mr. D as he pulled out a security card and vanished in a flash of light. "What is going on?" asked Persia to Chiron. "Someone stole the Master Bolt, Lord Zeus' symbol of power. He blames you too for stealing it," said Chiron. "Why would he blame us?" asked Peter. "Zeus is always wary of both Poseidon and Hades. Poseidon for the fact that he led a revolt against Zeus centuries ago, and Hades for the fact that he is the firstborn of their father, the former king of the sky. You see, he blames you too for stealing it. For a god cannot take another's symbol of power. Zeus thinks that Poseidon got Persia, and Hades got you, Peter, to steal his Master Bolt," explained Chiron. "Zeus is crazy. I never been to Olympus in the first place," shouted Persia. "It is not a good thing to call the king of Olympus the C word," said the satyr that Peter saved with Persia against the Minotaur. "So how do we prove our innocence?" asked Persia. "You two will need go speak to the oracle," said Chiron as he led Peter and Persia to the stairs in the big house, and motioned them to go upstairs. In the attic it was full of spoils of war from many past quests and battles. In the back of the attic there was a mummified woman wearing clothing that looked like they came off a hippie. "I am the spirit of Delphi, speaker of Phoebus Apollo, slayer of the mighty Python. Approach, seekers, and ask," said a voice that came out of the mummy. "What is our fate?" asked both Peter and Persia at the same time. A green mist came out the oracle's mouth. The mist turned to an image of four-man, walrus hybrids playing poker with Hulk, Iron Man, Nick Fury, and Norman Osborn. "You will go west and face the god that has turned," said one of the walrus men and the Hulk. "You shall find what has been stolen and see it safely returned," said Iron Man and another walrus man. "You shall be betrayed by one you called a friend," said Nick Fury and another walrus man. "And you shall fail to save what matters the most, in the end," said the last walrus man and Norman Osborn. Then the green mist changed color to black, and it began to swirl to show three hooded women working on a sewing. "A foe of Asgard's past will return to herald destruction and darkness for all eternity," said the first woman holding a spool of thread. "The 9 worlds would fall if what was stolen takes main focus," said the second woman who was pulling the thread. "The rest of the 9 worlds will see that the Prince of Asgard has an heir," said the last woman holding a pair of scissors. "The heir will be reunited with his mortal family," said the first woman. "The daughter of wisdom will discover that there is family that still cares for her," said the second woman. "The fair folk's blessing will lead to new powers for the daughter of wisdom," said the third woman. "An unclaimed hero will be claimed by his father after he saved 2 that he see as his own," said the first woman. "2 of the heir's uncles will journey with to the underworld," said the second woman. "The heir will convince the Titan of Light to join his nieces and nephews in the upcoming war," said the third woman. "An orphan daughter of love will be adopted by the Prince of Asgard and his lover," said the first woman. "The Rainbow Bridge will bring what has been stolen to where it belongs," said the second woman. "A betrothal between Asgard, Atlantis, and Olympus will take place when the stolen object has been returned," said the third woman before the mist disappeared. The 2 surprised demigods, they proceeded down the stairs to a waiting Chiron and a satyr. "So what did the oracle say?" asked Chiron, to which Persia answered without mentioning the line about being betrayed by a friend. "After what the oracle gave the prophecy, the fates appeared," said Persia. "I don't think they were the Greek fates. They only made 3 mentions to Greek mythology," said Peter. "Then who were they then?" asked Chiron curiously. "They were the Norns. The Norns are the Norse equalative to the Fates or the Morai. This is the prophecy they said. A foe of Asgard's past will herald destruction and darkness for all eternity. The 9 worlds would fall if what has been stolen takes main focus. The rest of the 9 worlds will see that the Prince of Asgard has an heir. The heir will be reunited with his mortal family. The Daughter of Wisdom will discover that there is family that still cares for her. The fair folk's blessing will lead to new powers for the Daughter of Wisdom. An unclaimed hero will be claimed by his father after he saved 2 that he sees as his own. 2 of the heir's uncles will travel with to the underworld. The heir will convince the Titan of Light to join his nieces and nephews in the upcoming war. An orphan daughter of love will be adopted by the prince and his lover. The Rainbow Bridge will bring what has been stolen to where it belongs. A betrothal between Asgard, Atlantis, and Olympus will take place when the stolen object has been returned," said Peter with a slight blush as he said the last line of the Norn's prophecy. "This may be connected to Timothy's demigod dreams he has have your traveling companions are pretty much already chosen for you. Annabeth Chase, Clarice, and Grover here will go with you to retrieve the Master Bolt. You will head to Boston before heading to the underworld," said Chiron as he sent Grover to get the other 2 ready for their quest to the underworld. After Chiron gave the demigods and Stay supplies of ambrosia, nectar, money both mortal and divine, Argus took the group to Greyhound Station. They got on the bus. As the bus was going down the road, 3 grannies got up at the same time and head to the back of the bus where the group of questers were. "We know you took it," said one of the grannies as she pulled out a flaming whip from her purse. "They are kindly ones," whispered Grover. "We don't have it," said Peter. "Lord Hades knows that his own flesh and blood would never steal it. Daughter of Poseidon, where is it?" asked the second granny as leathery bat-like wings sprouted out of the backs of the old ladies. "Open the emergency exit," shouted Peter to Annabeth, who was sitting by the window. There was an emergency exit. "She does," and the group jumped out of the window. The bus then crashed in a fiery explosion. "We just lost all of our gear," said Annabeth. "My cans," shouted Grover with tears in his eyes. "If we can get to a town I can contact S.H.I.E.L.D. for a supply drop or something," said Peter. "What is S.H.I.E.L.D.? asked Clarice. "S.H.I.E.L.D. is a world-saving organization that is training me to be a hero," said Peter as the group started to walk. "How are you in S.H.I.E.L.D.? asked Persia. "Can you keep a secret?" asked Peter. "Sure we can," said Annabeth with the other nodding their heads. "I am Spider-Man," said Peter lifting his shirt to reveal his uniform shirt underneath. They continue to walk until they reach a statue store that has seen better days. The group can smell food from the building. As the girls decided to go in, Peter whispered to Grover, "I don't know about you, but I am smelling a trap," which caused Grover to nod in agreement. The owner of the store was a middle-aged woman that has Middle Eastern ancestry wearing sunglasses who brought out a tray of cheeseburgers and milkshakes. "You kids must be hungry from your travels," said the owner as she put down the tray. "Yes, we were separated from our parents," lied Clarice as she took a bite out of her cheeseburger as Peter's spider sense went off as he heard hissing. "What is that sound?" asked Peter. "That is just the deep fryer, and call me Auntie M," said Auntie M as she walked over to Persia. "Can I help you?" asked Persia as Auntie M held Persia's chin with her hand. "You have such beautiful eyes. They reminded me of your father. He was such a romantic. He took me on a date to the Temple of Athena as he knew how much I idealized her. But that angered Athena, who out of jealousy cursed me," said Auntie M, which caused Peter and Grover to realize who Auntie M is. "Girls morph now, and Grover close your eyes," shouted Peter, which caused the girls to morph and Grover to close his eyes. "Time to go legendary mode Ninja Storm," said Peter as the team changed into their respectful colors except for Clarice, who changed into the Crimson Thunder Ninja Storm Ranger. "Power of air," said Peter. "Power of water," said Persia. "Power of earth," said Annabeth. "Power of thunder," said Clarice. "What in the name of Hades is going on?" shouted Medusa. "Let's take this Gorgon down," said Peter. "Rangers, your legendary mode can defeat monsters," said Gosei through their morphers. "Thanks, Gosei." "Ninja shadow screen battle," said Peter as he led the other rangers to fight Medusa with very high-speed attacks behind a Japanese-style wall that appeared and blocked Medusa's gaze from affecting Grover. The final blow, which cut off Medusa's head, was done by Persia. After they demorphed, they ransacked the place for supplies and information leading to the underworld's location. Persia decided to send Medusa's head to Olympus. Are you trying to go arrogant to the gods here? Asked Grover. I am arrogant, said Persia as she closed and addressed the box. Meanwhile at the SHIELD helicarrier, Nick Fury walked into the medical lab to see that was working on the DNA tests on Spider-Man trying to find his mother. So how is the search going? Asked Fury, getting attention. It took longer than I thought to take the spider DNA for the search. The computer just finished the SHIELD DNA database, and now it is doing the Stark Industries medical records. Said as the computer made a match, walked over the computer, and pushed a couple button. The computer revealed a red-haired woman. You go to be kidding me, said Fury meanwhile at the Avengers Tower. You're telling me that Thor got a kid out there, and the kid in question is Captain America's several great-grandnephew, cousin. Not only that, but Cap is the son of the Greek god of the underworld, and a legacy of the Greek goddess of wisdom, said Tony Stark. How could Captain be a legacy of Athena, because isn't she a virgin goddess? Asked Falcon. You remember the myths of birth of Athena? Asked Thor. Didn't she pop out of Zeus' head fully grown? Asked Natasha as she was starting to understand. Yes, she has the ability to make mind babies by merging the thoughts of the father with her own to form a demigod child, explained Thor. Then why didn't I get claimed as Hades' son before now? Asked Steve Rogers. Most likely to protect you from your uncles. Zeus would have most likely killed you during the war, making sure that you wouldn't turn out to be a threat to him, explained Thor as the elevator door opened to reveal a red-haired woman with her eyes focusing on a datapad. Tony, I need you to take a look at these figures for the next month. Also, we need to go over the charities that you are planning to donate to this year, said the woman as she handed Tony the datapad, and turned around. She came face to face to her what she was at the time deceased fiancé. She became overloaded with the emotion of anger. You son of hellspawn, you made me think you were dead. The day that they came and told me that you were dead was one of the 2 worst days of my life. The worst day was the day our son was kidnapped, shouted the woman as she started to beat up Thor. The rest of the Avengers minus Hulk, who was trying to hide behind a potted plant, were being held back by skeletons dressed up like Greek warriors, modern-day soldiers, and SHIELD agents. Above the woman's head small symbols of Hades, Hera, and Hephaestus appeared. The beating down on the Asgardian god of thunder continued to go on. Nick Fury walked into the room, and a rainbow image of Timothy Chase appeared. Wow, I didn't know arms are meant to bend like that, said Timothy Chase as he winces to the sound of bone breaking. Pepper, can you please stop beating the poor Asgardian? Asked Tony as he was trying to get out of the grip of the skeleton Greek warriors. Pepper, Lord Odin of Asgard erased his son's memories of you so that Thor would not reveal Asgard at that time. Eitri, the dwarf king, who told Thor to claim Peter because Hephaestus was constantly trying to claim him. But Thor unclaiming him blocked the attempts that Hephaestus, and later Hera, to claim Peter. Peter was also just claimed by most likely his several great-grandfather yesterday, Hades, said Timothy. Who are you? Asked Tony after the skeletons returned to the underworld. I am Timothy Chase, a unclaimed demigod, Peter's case manager, and new SHIELD special agent, said Timothy, which Fury nodded in agreement. So why are you calling? And more importantly, how are you calling us? Asked Falcon. I am Iris messaging you, which is caused by offering a golden drachma to Iris, the goddess of rainbows. It is quite common the Greek gods and goddesses do it, but if she is not busy that she does it for demigods as well. I was calling to let Thor that his son Peter is on his first quest for Olympus, and Asgard as well. Gosei said that his new Power Ranger teammates who are demigods who are traveling with him on the quest slayed the cursed Gorgon Medusa, said Timothy, which caused the Avengers to go wide-eyed except for Thor, who was in pain. How can Medusa be alive? Didn't Perseus kill her? Asked Hawkeye. Monster reform, as they have no souls except for Cyclopses that are the children of Poseidon. Yes, he did, and here is the irony: demigod that just killed her is named after him. The demigod is his cousin through Poseidon, Persia Jackson. The quests are as followed. The Greek quest is to retrieve 2 stolen symbols of powers: Zeus's master bolt, which could make 50 hydrogen bombs look like a baby's teething toy, and if the actions of the kindly ones, Hades' helm of darkness. The Asgardian quest is 2-pronged. The first part is to deal with an enemy of Lord Bor. The second part is to convince Hyperion, the Titan of Light, to join the Olympians in upcoming war, said Timothy. Who is the enemy? Asked Thor with a groan of pain. The Dark Elves lead by someone named Malekith. That is all that we have been able to figure out from my demigod dream. My brother and I are still trying to figure out how a Norse object is connected with the scythe of the Titan Lord. Besides that point, my brother and myself are turning his house into a base of operations for the upcoming attack, which will be taking place in Boston. Thor, you may want to tell your father to meet with Zeus about the Hyperion situation. I personally don't want to see Peter getting hit with a lightning bolt the size of the Avenger Tower," said Timothy as the Iris message ended. "I am going with," said Pepper Potts after Annabeth woke up Grover to do the watch for Monster. She went to sleep not know that she would not be dreaming in the regular sense. She was dreaming that she was designing a new Olympus, but there was a strange hut next to a temple to her mother Athena. Annabeth walked into the hut to see a shrine, but it wasn't an Greek shrine, it was African with symbols of spiders covering it. "Good, I have been waiting to speak with you," said a mysterious deep voice which kind of sounded like Mufasa from that movie that her uncle Timothy took her, and her cousins too. "Who are you?" asked Annabeth. "I am Anansi the spider, one of the children of Oberon, and in essence your fairy godfather," said Anansi from the shadows. "Who are the children of Oberon?" asked Annabeth. "Ah, there's the thirst of curiosity that is required for great wisdom. The children of Oberon is a race of magical beings. Normally we have a law against interfering with mortals, but you are not fully mortal, are you?" said Anansi. "So I am a demigod," said Annabeth confused. "I am not talking about your mother Athena. I was referring to your father's side of his family tree, his mother's side to be fact. Your grandmother is half child of Oberon. I visit you once before," said Anansi. "When did you?" asked Annabeth. "The night before you ran away. I gave a blessing. The blessing was a powerful one, but it had a time delay," said Anansi. "Can you tell me about your blessing, and can you show yourself?" asked Annabeth. "Don't scream when I come out of the shadows," said Anansi as he walked out of the shadows to reveal that he was a giant blue spider. "Spider!" screamed Annabeth in fear. "My blessing was a two-pronged spell. The first part was to counteract the curse of Arachne. The second part, which you may feel some pain with, give your spider-like powers," said Anansi after he calmed Annabeth down. "Will you train me in use of my spider powers?" asked Annabeth. "No, but you are travel with someone who can. The son of Thor had his spider powers for over a year now," said Anansi as the hut began to swirl and blur. "What is happening?" asked Annabeth. "You are waking up, daughter of wisdom," said Anansi. Annabeth woke up as Peter was gently shaking her. "We are almost in Boston. We need to get to pay phone so we can contact Timothy Chase," said Peter. "How do you know my Uncle Tim?" asked Annabeth. "He is my case manager and kind of a surrogate father figure," said Peter as he got his backpack on. The group walked to a bus station. Peter took some of the change that they had and made a phone call to Timothy Chase. "Hello, Timothy Chase. Who is this?" asked Timothy over the phone. "Hey, this is Peter. We just made it to Boston," said Peter when he heard a crash over the phone. "Magnus, watch out where you are walking. We are going to need those against the Dark Elves. Sorry, my nephew knocked over some of the Uru shields that my brother Eric and myself made with the metal that Eitri dropped off. Let me give you my brother's address. We will have the showers, washing machines, and a hot meal ready for you guys," said Timothy as he gave Peter his brother's address over the phone. "I got our meeting location address. It will be about a 20-minute walk from here," said Peter as he led the group of tired demigods and satyred to Annabeth's uncle's house. They reached to a 2-story house with a tall privacy fence that covered the backyard. Peter walked up to the front door and knocked on the front door. The door opened to reveal a tall blonde-haired man with bushy beard and brown eyes. When he saw Annabeth, he began to get teary-eyed. "Little Annabeth," said the man as walked over and hugged her. That action confused the rest of the group. "Eric, are you going to let them in? We have a lot left to do in order to prepare for the Dark Elf attack," said Timothy as he saw the group. Then his brother Eric let go of Annabeth and let the group in. "The bathroom showers are open. I ran out and got you guys some changes of clothes while yours are in the wash. I just order pizza and chicken wings for lunch," said Eric Chase as the group split up to go a bathroom to take a shower. "They look like they be through Niflheim," whispered to his brother. "Yes, but this is not the last location on their quest. They still have to go to the underworld," said Timothy as he heard the showers going on. Timothy then pulled out a project that he has been working on for a while. What is that? Asked Eric, curious, as Timothy pulled out a red and blue jumpsuit with red mask. The outfit had a spider theme to it. When Chiron confirmed my educated guess of who blessed Annabeth, I decided to make a superhero outfit for her. It is based on my student Peter, who is Spider-Man's outfit, said Timothy. After the group of teens were showered and in clean clothes, then they ate the lunch with great gusto. What's with the weapons all around? Asked Clarice, noticing all of the spears, Gatling crossbows, swords, and shields. I noticed when I fought a frost giant a few weeks ago that celestial bronze does very little damage to them. Eitri sent Uru metal for us to forge into weapons to fight the dark elves, said Timothy as he got up and grabbed a trident and a sword. These are for Persia, a trident modeled after your father's. Eitri made this an example in order to show me how to involve elemental and mystical powers into forging. The sword is for short-range combat. Clarice, this spear is like your spear, but made out of Uru. Annabeth, this sword is for you as well as what is in this bag, said Timothy as he handed Annabeth a bag. She opened the bag and pulled out a female Spider-Man outfit with a white web-like skirt. What is this? Asked Annabeth, since I figured out that Anansi the spider blessed you that you may gain spider-based powers, and Ablights that you may be mentor or trained by Peter. This way your identity is safe from any villains, said Timothy as there was a loud engine roar coming outside. What is that? Asked Persia, while the rest minus Peter thought it was a monster. Peter, my son. Your father Thor has come with reinforcements, shouted Thor from outside the house. I will get the door. It is a good thing that Magnus went over to sleep over at a friend's house for the weekend, said Timothy as he walked over to the front, opened the door to reveal Thor with a Panther theme hero, Falcon, Black Widow, and Pepper Potts. I see you brought some reinforcements, said Timothy as he let the group in. Peter the First want you to meet your mother Virginia, Pepper Potts, formerly Collins, said the Panther them superhero. My son, said Pepper as she ran and hugged Peter. T'Challa, it is good to see you again. You will have to teach these three how to fight like some of the animal-based rangers, said Timothy as he motions to Annabeth, Clarice, and Persia. Let's give them some time. We have some equipment that may be more useful against the dark elves, said Eric. About 2 hours later, the group got around a large table with a map of Boston on it. I just got a map of where the leyline nodes are from a Scottish friend who not only is an expert on the Fairfolk, are also known as the Children of Oberon, but has encountered 3 of them before. I met him at an emergency conference of special education teacher as well as Chiron and Lupa of Camp Jupiter. Lupa was actually worried because of an incident that caused the fall of the Roman Empire. But that is a story for another time, said Timothy as he put the clear map over the map of Boston. There is the largest node on the East Coast if you don't count the Empire State Building, because that is Olympus, said Eric as he pointed to Bunker Hill Monument. It looks like history is repeating itself, said T'Challa. I think the best plan is to have Falcon and Black Widow provide aerial support. Pepper will work on getting civilians out of the area. Thor will take on their leader. The rest of us will fight any other warriors, said Timothy. So when do you think this is going to happen? Asked Pepper. If the Norn's prophecy is any indication, it will way before the summer solstice, said Timothy. Why is that? Asked Falcon. The reason is that it is the deadline for the return of Zeus' master bolt before a war between Zeus and Poseidon over the arguments between the two over the thief of the bolt. I am concerned if the Armada intervene, said Timothy. I wouldn't worry about those alien idiots, said Peter for the first time in the meeting. Why do you call them that, son? Asked Thor. If their greatest warriors are beaten by a teenager, what would you call them? Answered Peter. Meanwhile, on the Armada warships, an outbreak of sneezes took place. I think the battle is going to happen soon, said Timothy Chase as he looked out at the sky. Why do you say that? Asked Natasha as she picked up an Uru revolving crossbow. Meanwhile, on Olympus, Poseidon and Zeus are still arguing about the thief of the master bolt. Father, something is happening to the Aunt Hestia's hearth, said Artemis as she pointed to the hearth, which showed the army of dark elf survivors coming out of a portal and killing mortals except for one toddler who her father and grandfather shielded her with their bodies. What in the name of my brother are those? Asked Poseidon. I don't know, But our children are arriving to fight those things, said Athena. Meanwhile on the Armada mothership, Your Highness, someone is attacking the humans, said Argus. I did not authorize any attack, shouted Prince Vecker. I do not know, sir, said Damaras. Should we attack? Asked Lavira. No, we will let them deal with the humans, and then we will attack, said Prince Vecker. At Camp Halfblood the entire camp was around the campfire as an image of the battlefield took place. What are those things, Chiron? Asked Malcolm from the Athena cabin. Those, my young students, are dark elves, a race that was thought to be extinct. They are a race from the Norse pantheon, explained Chiron. Who killed them? Asked Katie from the Demeter cabin. The armies of Asgard led by Peter's paternal great-grandfather Lord Bor. The battle took place at the same time as the Titanimarchy. The Dark Elves were going to return Earth, and the rest of the Norse 9 worlds into eternal darkness, explained Chiron. Why are they doing it here? Asked Malcolm. Because Earth is the center of the Norse 9 worlds, making it easier and faster to cover all of the worlds, explained Chiron. Meanwhile at the battle, let's send these Santa's helper rejects on a one-way trip to the underworld, shouted Timothy as he led the charge against the Dark Elf forces. Algrim deal with the demigods, said Malekith, which caused Algrim to crush a rune-covered stone as he ran at Annabeth, Clarice, and Peter. As Algrim ran at the group of young demigods, he transformed into a mixture of a volcanic beast and a bull. Timothy saw and intercepted the charging Algrim. Timothy took his sword and cut Algrim's hamstrings to slow down the enhanced Dark Elf. Algrim swung an arm at Timothy, who raised his shield to block the attack. Peter, go help your father. Girls morph and help protected Pepper, said Timothy as he jumped up and cut off Algrim's head. Meanwhile on Olympus. What in the world was that? Asked Hera to Athena, who was reading a massive pile of books to try and figure out what happening. All I can figure out is that what has attacked the mortals are dark elves from Norse mythology, and that stone is using runic magic of some kind, said Athena. Meanwhile at Camp Halfblood. What was that? Asked Mr. D. That is one of the accursed. They were the shock troops of the dark elves. They used runic stones which when crushed they would turn into what we just saw. It took 3 Asgardian warriors to take down one cursed warrior, explained Chiron. Back at the battle, Thor and Peter confronted Malekith. You and the demigod cannot defeat me, Prince of Asgard. Soon my millennia of waiting will come to at last, as the 9 worlds will return to eternal darkness, said Malekith as he shot blasts of pure darkness at Thor and Peter, who then dodged the blasts. No, Malekith, your plan will fall this day, as the 2 heirs of Asgard will defeat you. Have it, thee vile demon, said Thor as he and Peter threw their enchanted weapons at Malekith. Stormbreaker took Malekith's right arm while Mjolnir took the left arm. Without a way for the magic to be released, Malekith's body blew up. What was remaining was a couple of runic tablets and red floating liquid that radiating power. We will deal with the cleanup, said Agent Coulson as he arrived with several shield agents. After an agent put the floating liquid into a container, Peter took it. Peter, what are you doing? Asked Coulson. I am thinking that this would be safer in the underworld over the helicarrier or Asgard, where a villain like Loki or could take it and use it for themselves, said Peter with great logic for his reason. Meanwhile in his head, Chibi Spider-Man along with Angel and Devil Spider-Man were eating popcorn as Chibi is being used as a chew toy by Cerberus, and the Furies were torturing Chibi Loki. It will work from my meetings with Hades. He is not like what mortals view him as a demonic dark lord, but he is honorable god. He would do anything for family. So I can see him easily holding the ether. Also Hades is honorary warrior 3, because he helped them, and myself fight Fenrir the wolf once, said Thor as the rest of the group gather around Pepper was hold the girl that she saved. So what route will you guys take to Los Angeles? Asked Black Panther. The best route is to go to St. Louis, then Sliver Hills, then to Los Angeles, said Timothy as an image of a lightning bolt appeared above his head in electric blue. It has been determined. Zeus, king of Olympus, lord of the sky, god of lightning, honor, and justice. Hail Timothy Chase, son of Zeus, said Thor in a booming voice. Well, now I know my father has claimed me until recently, said Timothy. Why is that? Asked Natasha. There was a prophecy that was made at the end of World War II. But we can go at that later. Let's try and prevent World War III, said Timothy. So why not have them go through Las Vegas? Asked Falcon. Have you ever read the Odyssey? Asked Timothy in response, which caused all of the group except for Thor and the little girl in Pepper's arms. What was one of the first stops before the Cyclops? Asked Timothy again. The Lotus Eaters, said Black Panther. Correct, I don't know about Pepper or Thor, but I don't want my niece to go anywhere near that ancient equalative to opium den, said Timothy. If they go through Sliver Hills, then Peter could meet his grandfather and one of his uncles, said Pepper. You mean Wes Collins, the Time Force Red Ranger, is your brother, said Black Panther. How do you know that? Asked Pepper. I was the second Turbo Red Ranger and the Blue Space Ranger. I am one of Peter's 2 Power Rangers mentors since the Warstar invasion attempt, explained T'Challa. Now what are we going to do with her? Asked Natasha, gesturing to the little girl. It may be best to try and find her family, said Falcon as Timothy walked over to the 5-year-old girl. What is your name, sweetie? Asked Timothy as he noticed her eyes were changing colors. Piper McLean, said the now revealed Piper. Do you have any family who can take you in? Asked Timothy. No, Daddy and Grandpa Tom were killed by those creatures, said Piper with tears in her eyes. I would like to adopt you, said Pepper. Really? Asked Piper in a cute voice, which caused Timothy to notice that she was using charm speak. I can see my parents practically adopting you as a granddaughter after meeting you, said Thor. Falcon and Natasha, you two may want to keep an eye on any interactions between Piper and Tony Stark, whispered Timothy to the 2 Avengers. Why is that? Asked Falcon. Piper just used charm speak, said Timothy. What is charm speak? Asked Natasha. It is basically a low-key manipulation using the user's voice. It is quite common with children and descendants of gods or goddesses of love, explained Timothy. I think we should be on our way before miss the deadline, said Peter. Son, do us proud and come back to us, said Thor as he put a fatherly hand on Peter's shoulder. The group of demigods and Stay-R began to leave Boston, unknown that they were being followed by a pair of ravens. Do you need a lift? Asked Falcon to Timothy. Sure, I need to go to Camp Half-Blood to help Chiron prevent a massive fight anyway, said Timothy as Falcon leads the Avenger, Pepper, and Piper to the Quinjet. We will be in New York in a couple of hours, said Falcon. Good, I can take a nap then, thought Timothy as Timothy slept. He began to have a demigod dream. The dream started off with a scene from World War II Poland, where a young Jewish boy was being separated from his mother. The boy began to unknowingly pull the metal gate with unseen power of some kind. The scene shifted to a white-haired man wearing red armor with a lightning bolt above his head. Then the scene shifted to show Peter saving a 10-year-old girl and a 5-year-old girl from a sorceress. The next scene was Peter wielding a sword in his hand. What shocked Timothy was a saying inscribed under the hilt in letters of gold. Are you all right, Timothy? Asked T'Challa as he shook his shoulder. Yeah, I just had a demigod dream, said Timothy. What was in your dream? Asked Thor. The first 2 scenes were connected in a sense, which makes me think that I may have a half-sibling that is not currently a pine tree. The next 2 scenes relate to Peter. The first scene is that Peter saves my 2 adopted daughters from Circe. The last scene is making me think about looking at medieval and current British royal bloodlines. I saw Peter wielding Excalibur, said Timothy. While the group was on the outskirts of, Peter sensed something that was following them. Stop, you guys. Something is following us, said Peter as stopped walking. What is following us? 'Cause I don't smell anything, asked Grover. I don't know, but whomever or whatever you are, show yourself, shouted Peter. Wow, the kid is good, said a raven as he flew down. Of course, Feather Brain, he is the boss's grandkid, said another raven. Did those ravens just talk? Asked Persia faintly. Of course we can talk, how else can we tell the boss man of any of the news that we gather for him about Midgard or any other worlds, said the first raven. Who are you two? Asked Grover. Sure thing, Goat Boy. I am Hugin, the most important messenger for the boss man, said the first raven, now revealed as Hugin. Please ignore his boasting, he was hatched a little too early. I am Munin. We work for Lord Odin of Asgard as his eyes and ears in the worlds, said Munin, adding the last part for the Greek demigods. Well, we got some time before my uncle will come to pick us up. What do you guys want to do? Asked Peter. I want to go see the arch, said Annabeth as she dragged the group to the arch. As the group headed to the monument, were unknowingly heading to a major fight from a chain of events that not even the fates could have foreseen. I think there is a monster about, muttered Grover as Peter noticed a fellow superhero teammate Ava. Ava, what are you doing here? Asked Peter as he walked up to her. Director Fury, T'Challa, and Gosei sent me to meet up with you in case you need the full team for against the Armada, said Ava. You are a Power Ranger as well? Asked Annabeth. Yes, and who are you guys? Asked Ava as the group headed to the monument. I am Persia Jackson, daughter of Poseidon, said Persia in a low voice. Annabeth Chase, daughter of Athena, niece to Timothy Chase, and blessed by Anansi the Spider, said Annabeth. Clarice LaRue, daughter of Ares, and Peter's girlfriend, said Clarice. Grover Underwood, protector, and I am a Stayar, said Grover in a nervous voice. I am Ava Ayala. I am the current White Tiger. I was chosen to be on your team, because my White Tiger amulet makes me clear-sighted, whatever that means, said Ava as they enter the monument with a large woman wearing a very ugly blue dress carrying a chihuahua, and a large group of kids with a couple of adults. I have a weird feeling about the women with the dog, said Peter as his spider sense went off. What is this feeling? Asked Annabeth as she felt a tingling down her spine that she also felt at battle against the Dark Elves. That is your spider sense. It means danger is around or coming, so like very soon, explained Peter as Persia was talking to the lady about the chihuahua. It is a chimera dearie, not a chihuahua. It is easily to mistake the two. Isn't that right, Sonny? Said the woman with a hint of a forked tongue as the chihuahua jumped out of her hands as started to grow in size. I think it is time to get ready to morph just in case. Grover, can you manipulate the mist so the civilians don't see us morph? Asked Peter as the women became more reptile-like, and the chihuahua's head became a lion's head. Yes, I can, said Grover as the chimera grew a goat head. Well, do it, and get everyone else out of here, said Clarice as she grabbed her morpher out. It has been so long since Lord Zeus let me test a half-blood with one of my children, said Echidna. Aren't you an anteater? Asked Persia, which enraged Echidna. I hate that country for naming that disgusting creature after me. I am Echidna, wife of Typhon, and mother of monsters, shouted Echidna as the chimera attacked to protect his mother's honor by killing the offending demigods. Meanwhile, on Olympus, the Olympian Council is watching the attack. If she dies, Zeus, there will be war, shouted Poseidon as the chimera attacked the demigods. What are they doing? Asked Demeter as the demigod pulled out the morphers. Meanwhile at Camp Halfblood. What are they holding? Asked Mr. D, who was just as confused as the campers. Those are their morphers. They're the current Power Ranger team, said Timothy Chase. Meanwhile in the halls of Odin the Allfather in Asgard. Odin, his wife Frigga, the Warrior 3, and Sif were watching the battle. So that is Thor's son, said Fandral. What are they doing? Asked Sif. At the battle. It's morphing time. Legendary red, shouted Peter. Blue, said Persia. Green, said Clarice. Yellow, said Annabeth. Pink, said Ava as they morphed into the respected legendary mode. What in the name of Tartarus are you? Shouted Echidna. We are Power Rangers Megaforce, said Peter as he swinged his sword, hitting the chimera's leg. Let's switch, Annabeth, said Persia as she passed her pistol to Annabeth, who passed her sword to Persia. Persia attacked Echidna, hitting on the arm. Let's go, Time Force, said Peter as the Rangers changed into their respectful Time Force counterparts. Meanwhile in a Silver Guardian's Humvee, one of the Silver Guardian's object on his wrist glowed. What's going on with your morpher? Asked the driver. I don't know, but it happened a couple of days ago too, said the Silver Guardian. Meanwhile on the Armada mothership. My prince, there appears to be more Power Rangers, said Damaras. What more Rangers? We must destroy them, but how? Asked Prince Vecker. What about growing what they are fighting to the size of a giant? That way we can destroy more humans as well, said Argus. Yes, Levira, do it. Order Prince Vecker. Yes, sir, said Levira as she used the maximizer on the chimera and Echidna. At the battle. What is going on with them? Asked Clarice. They are going giant, said Peter. What are we going to do? Asked Persia. Rangers, you now have access to the legendary Megazord. Peter will have to summon the skyship which carries the other Zords, said Gosei through the morpher. Okay, summon skyship, said Peter as a large red flying pirate galleon flew in and lowered 5 ropes. Let's show them, said Clarice as they went to their respective Zords and launched them to fight 2 giant monster. Meanwhile on Olympus. Father, I think your plan is ruined by outside force, said Athena as the gods were watching the battle. On Asgard. Thor's son is what mortals say a chip of the old block, said Volstagg as he took a bite out of a turkey leg. I hope he stays safe, said Frigga. I wonder where is Hugin and Munin? Asked Odin to no one in particular. At the battle, Hugin flew to an abandoned bag of popcorn, grabbed it, and flew back to where Munin was. Popcorn? Offered Hugin. Let's put the Zord together, said Peter over the Ranger's intercom. The pink sub and yellow truck became attached to the red ship as legs. The blue jet and green race car became attached as arms. The bow of the red ship split open, and head was revealed. A black hat came unattached from the blue jet and was attached to the head. The blowsprit became 2 cutlasses. Whoa, this is cool, said Persia. At Olympus. This is awesome, said Hermes, Ares, Apollos, and surprisingly Hephaestus at the same time. At Camp Halfblood. Cool, was said by every camper, satyr, and Mr. D. At the battle. Let's give them some trouble, said Clarice. Rangers, you have unlocked the powers of Time Force and SPD Rangers, said Gosei over their morphers as the SPD and Time Force keys glowed. Thanks, Gosei, said Peter as he grabbed the SPD Red Ranger key and put it in the key lock. Summon Delta Runner, said the Rangers as a red police car appears. The police car broke up into 3 parts. The main compartment went into the chest, and the other 2 parts become guns. SPD Final Strike, said the Rangers, which caused the Megazord to shoot the Chimera with multiple laser weapons, destroying it. You will pay for what you did to my son, said Echidna as she began to attack the Megazord. Summon Shadow Winger, said the Rangers as they inserted the Time Force keys. There was a solar eclipses that appeared as a large plane-like ship appeared. Combine, said the Rangers, which caused the Shadow Winger's laser guns to separate from the body and attach to the guns from the Delta Runner. The cockpit area of the Shadow Winger split off from the wings and attached to the chest. The wings attached to the Zord's back to allow flight. Time Force Legendary Megazord ready, said the Rangers. Now let's finish this monster, Mom, said Peter. Time Force Final Blast Strike, said the Rangers, which caused the Zord to jump up into the air and shoot clocks around Echidna, preventing her from moving. The clocks also were working like a massive laser targeting for a massive energy blast made from the guns of the Megazord. The massive blast destroyed Echidna. After the Zords were returned to the base. That was cool, said Clarice. Yeah, flying was so cool, said Persia. You guys did pretty good for first Megazord battle, said a guy wearing a black military uniform with a red beret. The gentleman looked a lot like Peter. Who are you two? Asked Annabeth, noticing the gentleman friend who was dressed like him. I am Wes Collins, and this is my friend Eric Meyer. I am Peter's uncle. Myself and Eric were Time Force Rangers, said Wes as they led the group to their Hummer. So why is a group of teens taking a cross-country trip on their own? Asked Eric as he started to drive to Silver Hills. We are trying to prevent World War III basically, said Peter. How on earth could a potential World War III could be stopped by a group of teenagers? Asked Wes, confused by that sentence. Persia is accused of stealing Zeus' Master Bolt, and most likely by the way the Furies were behaving Hades' Helm of Darkness. Zeus is blaming Poseidon, who is Persia's father, for planning to overthrow. He is also blaming me, because who our several great-grandfather is Uncle Wes, explained Peter. Who is your several great-grandfather? Asked Eric. Hades, Lord of the Underworld. We are going there to see if the accusation is false or true. I also have to go to Tartarus to speak with a Titan about joining the side of the Olympus in upcoming war, said Peter. Which Titan? Asked Wes as they enter the city limits of Silver Hills. Hyperion, Titan Lord of the East, and the Titan of Light, said Peter. So who is the god that got my sister pregnant? Asked Wes as Eric pulled into a driveway leading up to a large mansion. He can tell you at the same time that he tells your dad, Wes. We're here, said Eric as he parked the Hummer. I can take them in if you want to go, and head home, said Wes. Thanks, Wes, said Eric as a butler walked out of the mansion and headed home to get a drink after hearing about two possible near end of the world wars coming. Ah, Master Wes, it is good to see you again, sir. Both your father and myself were worried when the news reported the giant monster attack in, said the butler. Yeah, my nephew and his friends were the ones who stopped it, said Wes as he a hand on Peter's shoulder. Well, your father is in his study. If you need anything, let me know. My name is Phillips, said Phillips before he left to go do some of his. Led the group of teens to a closed door and knocked on the door. Enter, said a voice from the other side of the door. Dad, I want you to meet Pepper's son Peter and his friends/fellow Power Rangers, said Wes. So what are your names? Asked. I think it would be wise to say your divine parents as well. The reason is that most of the group except Ava and Grover are demigods, said Peter, which caused his grandfather to raise his eyebrow. I am Annabeth Chase, daughter of Athena, blessed by Anansi the Spider Trickster and the current Yellow Ranger, said Annabeth. Persia Jackson, daughter of Poseidon and the Blue Ranger, said Persia. Clarice LaRue, daughter of Ares, the current Green Ranger and Peter's girlfriend, said Clarice. Ava Ayala, I am their SHIELD teammate, the current Pink Ranger, and also the current White Tiger, said Ava. I am Grover. I am Stayar, said Grover. Now I am wondering who Peter's divine father is, said Wes. Well, after I tell you who he is, I will have to tell you how, and for a short while had to leave my mom, said Peter. Who is your father? Asked Mr. Collins. Thor Odinson. He was sent as punishment, and as a lesson in humility to be reincarnated as a mortal. When his mortal incarnation died, Odin wiped out his memories about his punishment so that he would not reveal Asgard still exists to the mortals too soon. It actually on a mission that my SHIELD team along with my case manager and Annabeth's uncle Timothy chased to save Asgard from Loki's schemes of conquest that he claimed me. The king of the dwarves Eitri, who told my dad to claim me, because one of our divine ancestors and his mother have been trying to claim me for years, explained Peter as he was starting to put something together as he was talking. So who is our relative that we are descendants of? Asked Wes. I was claimed by Hephaestus, Hera, and the god whose realm we are traveling to, Hades, said Peter as he continued to work on his little project. The group of teenagers rested, and Peter finished his project just before dinner. He shipped by Hermes Express to the Avengers Towers. At the Avengers Tower there was random period screams of pain coming for one Tony Stark. Why is Tony getting electrically shocked? Asked Steve Rogers to Black Widow. To prevent something potential terrible happening because of Tony getting charm speak, said Natasha. What is charm speak? Asked Clint. Charm speak is an ability commonly found in children of a god or goddess of love. It can easily bend people to the user's will, said Sam Wilson aka Falcon as a large package appeared above Clint's head and hit it before landing on the table. Ouch, what in the world is that? Asked Clint. When Clint said, ouch, the package opened up, and a large white inflated robot appeared. Hello, I am Baymax. I am a robotic nurse and nanny, said the white robot. The end. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next part.